Welcome to Basically Us, Episode 2. This is the show where two friends met online, mentored, and decided to make a podcast. Together they will share good conversations and lively debates on current topics, or they might just faff about. And don't worry, they won't mind their P's and Q's. Ladies and gents, Brady and Benski.
What's up, everybody? I wish, for those of you who aren't watching, I spilled drink right before we started recording, and I'm just going to roll with it now. But yeah, I'm Benski, and Brady's here with us also. It's exciting. I can't believe I did this. But are you good, Brady? Because you have not made a comment about my spill pretty much at all, and we've been in post or pre-production for a hot minute now.
Well, first of all, I think they call it the green room, but no, I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, the shirt is, it's dreadful, right? Like, absolutely dreadful. But I'm like, weirdly, I'm a little annoyed with you right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
With me?
Yeah, 100%.
Why? Sorry, I get nervous when I laugh when I'm nervous. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Dude, okay, so like I was going through some of your old videos, right? Like, because you stalker friends, right? And just like get content ideas.
Uh-huh.
And I saw one of the most incoherently horrible rants that you went on than I have ever seen. And I'm not like upset. I'm just like a little annoyed and disappointed. I'm disappointed in you. Like, like a parent. I'm disappointed in you.
Okay. You can join my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So which one did you find? I have, because I feel like I have quite a few rants that I go on. So I'm just curious which one's annoyed you.
So it was when you were talking about why stormtroopers can't hit things.
Yeah. Okay.
That was willfully an ignorant statement. Like, and I believe that like everybody can have their opinion, and it's important for people to have their own opinion, right? And like, it's not dumb just because somebody doesn't share their opinion.
Sure.
But like, that was the most wistful rant about the dumbest crap. Like, anyways, I feel like everybody on this podcast right now is less smart. But here's the thing, though. I want you to tell our listeners and our sound tech why or what you said.
Okay.
Take us through, and I'm going to call bullshit anytime that you like try to flip it.
So I will tell you this the way it was presented in the video, but I do want to explain it a little bit more. But what I had suggested was that the reason Stormtroopers' aim was so bad was because I was pointing out the inconsistencies in A New Hope, where Obi-Wan mentions that the blaster marks are too precise for like Tusken Raiders, like they had to be stormtroopers, which means those blaster marks were precise, and he knows because of his experience that they're precise shots. But then once we get into it and we have like Luke and Leia on the Death Star, we go through, they are missing every shot on the planet, and they're like, they shouldn't be. And so my suggestion was that the Force, either Darth Vader knew something inside of him that he wanted to protect Luke and Leia for some reason, and the Force was making them miss, or that the Force itself was protecting Luke and Leia, even though they didn't know yet. That was the basic. Did I correctly represent that? I haven't seen that video since I posted it, but
yeah,
that's my still thinks it's stupid.
It's so
but
dumb.
Here's my thing. My explanation is more towards the second part of that, because like the Force is unexplainable for the most part. I mean, especially nowadays when we're getting into all these new renditions of Star Wars shows, everyone has their different opinions of it. But I think it's safe to say the Force is alive, and I think the Force knows when it needs to implement itself, and one of those things could have been the Force being like protecting Luke and Leia in those instances where they're missing.
And if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump its ass when it jumped. Right? We can sit here and play what ifs all day long, right? Can we just handle the fact that like when Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? When Ben Kenobi was dealing with stormtroopers.
Sure.
They were remnants of clone troopers that had turned over, right? From the 501st came over, right?
Yeah.
So they were still highly skilled. They were still highly skilled clones of a like master bounty hunter, right?
Yeah.
And all they did was train. As we grow into A New Hope, it became an involuntary system, right? Where it was more like a draft. And of course they're going to shoot like shit because they don't want to be there in the first place. It's really the only job, or you get your planet blown up.
But then why were the blaster marks precise on the Sandcrawler? And because that's what he mentions. He mentions that they were too precise to be Tusken Raiders. Like, why were those ones precise, but then the ones later weren't precise?
Okay, so let's take away what he said and what he was looking at, right? He was looking at misses. Of course,
why would he say precise?
Misses. Because he's an idiot and he's old.
Because he's just crazy.
That dude's old as hell.
He is. I 100%, 100%. And it was a theory. I just had a theory.
And not to mention, maybe he was discussing how small the laser was. Like it was like a caliber size, right?
I mean, it could have
been. So like a stormtrooper has a smaller caliber. It's way more explainable than freaking that. The Force is just moving laser beams around. Like, come on. Like, we didn't see that until like Kylo Ren, or actually really Cloud City. We saw that in Cloud City when Darth Vader did the Wonder Woman, right?
Well, and he didn't even deflect it. He just grabbed it. Like he straight up.
He like blocked the bullet. You remember like when the bullet shot and he was like,
didn't he just put his hand up? Didn't it just like go into his hand?
Whatever.
Yeah. But yeah.
I was blown away.
We lost Brady.
No.
Looks like he's coming back.
Okay,
all right.
Cool. Thanks, Oz.
It's all good. We'll keep going.
Yeah. But hopefully he'll come back in here soon. But like, actually,
I'm totally with you. I agree. I think the Force is definitely a living thing. And,
right.
You know, us metachlorians, come on. I mean, everyone.
Well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm not quite there. But I think, I mean, you know, while he's not here, I could take this point a little further. I mean, the Force, I don't know. It's hard for me to think the Force is just something to manipulate that can't also manipulate. I think inherently, if you're going to be able to use something to manipulate something, that thing also should be capable of manipulation by itself.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's back. No, okay, first of all, I did not in this era, you could look back, I was not going to participate in midichlorians.
And he got the sound guy involved with this now. Good job. He was supposed to be neutral. Now he's not. That's fine. Whatever. Anyways, sorry. Me hitting the table like literally kicked me off of everything. But whatever. Okay, so
I didn't mean to make you angry about it.
We'll just move past your stupid take on fucking, you know, why stormtroopers miss. Anyways, so while we're talking about Star Wars, right? What is, like, I need to know now, because like I really feel like we are getting farther and farther apart on like how we view Star Wars. First it was the Clone Wars. You don't like Clone Wars. And now it's the stormtroopers miss because of the Force. Now I have to know, like, what is your number one Star Wars hot take at this point? Because like I am just waiting to shred you at this point.
Well, okay. So I need,
and by the way, I still love you too.
I know. I love you too. But you need to let me finish the statement. And this is something I've made this statement several times online, and nobody focuses on what I'm saying. Okay, but here's the hot take. If you don't like Acolytes, if you don't like Mandalorian season 3, if you don't like all the stuff that's quote unquote hot garbage right now, my hot take is that Star Wars, Clone Wars, and Rebels, the TV shows, effectively have ruined Star Wars. I'm not saying they were bad. I do think Rebels was a good show. I think Clone Wars was a good show. However, the Acolytes and all this other stuff are symptoms of Clone Wars and Rebels, because what I think is the problem right now is, now that Disney's taken over, is they don't know what to focus on when they're making content. They just want to give people what they think they want, because we now have to have explanations for everything because of Clone Wars and Rebels. Before, we could have Boba Fett and he was the most badass dude and we knew 2 minutes of him and we never needed an explanation. But then Clone Wars and Rebels come in and it's like, hey, you want all these crazy backstories to things you never asked for? And then it bred a fan base that now requires explanation. And now we're getting crap content. So while I think they were good shows by themselves, I think they, like, if you hate Star Wars now, it's because of those 2 shows. That's my hot take.
What? Oh my gosh, dude. You got to be kidding me right now.
I'm not saying they're not quality. They're good.
First of all, right, and this is not my hot take, but weirdly enough, Acolyte has gotten way better. Way better.
I enjoy... They're doing the thing that I've been begging for Star Wars since the last 3, which is I need more badass, cool ass lightsaber shit. And I'm finally getting that. And it is like candy to my soul. Like when he's taken them all on, it is my favorite. Oh, it was so good. I genuinely was happy again watching Star Wars. So like, I can agree that it's getting better. I'm not saying it's still great, but it's getting better.
But you know Clone Wars was like Lucas did that, right?
No,
you
sure.
know that.
I'm not saying, again, the quality,
like the mastermind
and the actual
did it.
Part of it isn't my problem. My problem is they gave too much of it away. Again, what Disney's doing is they're jumping on the back of, oh, everyone really liked this. We should find the other little niche thing they like, and we're going to do it. I have no problem with female-driven like storylines, right? Aliens franchise is one of my favorite franchises on the planet. Super female-driven. However, we got Ahsoka, and then we get Bo-Katan, and then we get Bo-Katan so hard that she starts taking over the Mandalorian show. Like, because people wanted to see more of it. So what Disney does, which I think they do not well, is really drive the thing that they think is what people want. And
okay, I'm going to stop you on Bo-Katan, right? Bo-Katan, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to stop you because you know what? Disney did a great thing by making her more involved in that show because it's Katie Sackhoff, bro. Everybody that watched Battlestar Galactica wanted to see more of the hot Cylon.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
dude, I fell in love with her in freaking Riddick.
Oh my God. Like, so you can give me as much Katie Sackhoff, if you ever listen to this podcast. I would die if you were ever on it because she's like one of my favorite people.
Hey, we can make it happen.
Anyway. It's like my star crush. That's like my space crush.
When's your birthday? Maybe I should try to figure something out.
January 25th.
Wait, January?
Yeah.
I didn't realize. We're both born in January. Did you know that?
Do you want my fucking social too, bro? Like,
yeah.
We're on a podcast.
Give me your social. Give me your
God. Gee whiz. Okay, so my hot take is. Yeah, so you already know that. I know. Here's my hot take for Star Wars.
Yeah.
The most evil character in all of Star Wars and the person responsible for the entire Skywalker arc, Mace Windu.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to no, actually just go. Tell me about this. I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes either.
Who turned Count Dooku to the dark side?
Mace.
There you go. Right?
Yeah.
Who turned Anakin to the dark side?
Padme.
No. Mace did by not making him a Jedi Knight, right? Mace did by not making him a Jedi Knight.
Wasn't that a collective decision, though?
How many times did Obi-Wan come to Mace and Anakin come to Mace and tell them the entire thing? And Mace said, what? Nope. We would have sensed it by now. And kept letting Sidious go. So Mace is by far the worst character as far as evil in all of Star Wars.
I'm glad we both have opposing hot takes.
Because I'm telling you, dude, now go back and watch it, and it's going to totally screw up when you.
But what about when he's like? What about when he finally kind of admits that, like, because when Anakin goes to him with everything, he's like, "I guess that makes sense." And if this is true, like, you're in, bud. Like,
but Obi-Wan already did it in episode 2.
I hear you. I just, in order for me to agree with this, there would have to be zero redeeming qualities for him. And
what is
Well, first of all, he has a purple lightsaber, which was dope.
Okay, that doesn't redeem shit. Like anybody can have a lightsaber.
But they didn't have a purple one.
It's true. But that was more awesome. Samuel Jackson than
it's true. Okay. It's true. Like I wish his like lightsaber would have come on and been like, "Say what again?" That would have been really funny. But I mean, I guess I really am only on that one part where he's like, if this is true, like it's good, because he acted on that when Anakin finally told him, he was like, all right, we're gonna go full force, and he got my boy. Okay, now I'm angry now because he got my boy Kit Fisto killed, and I love that dude.
See,
all right,
and he stepped out of the way. He straight stepped out of the way and let Kit Fisto just boop.
He did.
Yep,
he did.
So that's okay. So here's my thing, right? Okay. A redeeming quality is something that you would do to like effectively make up for all the bad shit that you've done. Right. He apologized, and in your world, that's a redeeming quality? Are you fucking kidding me? When he literally had it staring down his throat? Well, that's not a redeeming quality. That's just an oh shit moment.
That's true. I look. I'm 90% there. I'm gonna go rewatch it now, and I want to kind of just like keep notes, because in my head I feel like you're right, but also there's just part of me, maybe it's just because like I grew up loving Mace Windu, and I think most people did, because honestly it was just like Samuel Jackson who had a purple lightsaber, so you just were like, this is the coolest guy ever. But now that I'm not blinded by the dark side of Mace Windu, wow, that sounds. I should.
Here's another thing, real quick, Benski, while you're thinking about this.
Yeah,
real quick. Who also turned Boba Fett bad because he was still an impressionable child, and who turned him bad?
Okay, that one's a little harder for me because
Mace left the head in the bucket, bro. Like couldn't even pick it up.
The bucket flew out. If you rewatch that scene, the bucket. If you rewatch the scene, you can see the head and the bucket go different directions.
I think they re-edited that to where it doesn't do that now.
Really?
But what I'm saying though is, So what I'm saying is that you decapitated this dude. I mean, like, okay, so if you're the strongest Jedi of all time, you could have killed him in like a bunch of different ways instead of just decapitating him right in front of his kid.
That's true.
And at no point did the loving Jedi ever love on that kid and be like, hey, sorry that your dad just got his head cut off in front of everybody, but we love you and we want to, help you out and whatever. But nope, they just left him in a sand pit by himself with a whole bunch of weird, like, hornet things, Geonosians. They look like weird hornets. That's what they do.
They do.
Aliens. Yeah.
They're
so
gross.
Again, Mace Windu. Telling you. The worst character in Star Wars.
It feels a little... you have me on most of it. The Boba Jango thing, you're losing me a little bit, only because self-defense is a thing. Jango came after him, and he did that. I will say, leaving the kid behind, though, that's where you get me again.
See?
The actual death, though, like, that's on both of them.
Sure.
Yeah, I get it is weird that they left him behind, right? Like, because in theory, the Jedi shouldn't have done everybody, though. Nobody should have left him behind. But also, I don't know if he just like ran away. Well, he didn't. He like sat there and did the little head thing with the.
As they were picking him up and going.
Yeah.
To the war.
Why leave him behind? That is a. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to get back on this. I'm not 100% sold, but I'll admit my hot take will never sell you, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But I appreciate this hot take, and I think I'm gonna actually do some homework on it and figure out how I feel about it. But you got me there.
I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not going to do any homework on your first hot take of why Stormtroopers miss.
That's fine. Well, that was. Well, we can move past that again. And if we're talking about but like I want to talk more about like this Disney aspect of it, because here's the deal. I love Disney generally, right? Like we talked about how I like Wish, you love Wish. We talk about all these things, around Disney, but I don't think we've ever really dove into like you going to Disney, you cause you go to Disney quite a bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I've actually only been one time. The first time I ever went to Disney World was on my honeymoon last October. So I want to hear about your last Disney experience. I want to hear about Disney in general, because I'm hopefully going to go again this October. So I want to hear it from quote unquote the expert of Disney.
Yeah. So first of all, not an expert, man. Like they're like those like Disney food blogs and stuff like that. They're like way better than I am. But so first of all, weird that you went to your honeymoon to Disney, because my wife and I did as well 16 years ago, 17 years ago now. That's where we went. And unfortunately could not ride any rides. It was her first time ever to Disney World. And like when I first met my wife, I walked into her house, and have you ever seen Dodgeball, where he walks into the house and it's like a whole bunch of unicorns, right? I walked into my wife's house and it was completely covered in Disney, right? Like, there was just like magnets and plates, and like her forks had like little Mickey heads in the back and stuff. And, you know, being a Florida boy, I was like, have you ever been to Disney World? And she goes, oh yeah, I've been to Disney in California. I'm like, no. Hang tight. Disney World. Have you ever been to Disney World? And she goes, no. And so then her and I would battle back and forth of which one was better, right? And you know, I think there's an argument to be made on both sides, right? Like, so Disneyland was like the original OG, and truth be told, some of the rides are way better at Disneyland than they are in Disney World. But Disney World, though, was like Walt's real dream, right? Was to like not have all that stuff around it, and it was not like, you know, compacted into just Anaheim. It was like the world of Disney, and nothing can encroach it. But anyway, so yeah, we went. It was a pretty good time. It was a good time for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I loved Disney World so much. And here's the deal. And please forgive me for my ignorance, because I know this might make you upset. I was a Disney hater without even going before I went there, because I looked at it from like a cost benefit analysis. I was like, it costs way too much money. I'm not going to have, like, I could spend my money on something else, blah, 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 this, that, or the other. My wife convinced me that it would be fun to go to Disney World for our honeymoon. And I kid you not, it took maybe 5 minutes and I was in love. Like, I got in, we went to Epcot first. I got in there and I was just like blown away. We did the first ride we did was that new Guardians ride. And
what song did you get?
The Come and Get Your Love. Yeah, it was awesome. It was perfect. I got off of that and I just like, something came over me, and it was just like, it was that magic. I feel like anyone who hasn't been, they hear about that and they think maybe it's a joke or maybe it's cheesy, but like, honestly, like, as genuinely as I can say this, there's something there, man. Like, you get there and it just feels good. And so we did that. We did like that moon simulator ride where they're like, everyone gets sick on this. And I was like, I won't. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. Like, it was the worst ride I've ever been on in my life. But yeah, so we did that. I just couldn't get enough of it. And I was just so blown away. I went over to, I can't remember all the names of it, but wherever like all the Star Wars stuff is,
Hollywood Studios.
I paid all that money to build a lightsaber, which was fun for the experience, but if I ever go back, I'm just going to buy one. But, you know, it was fun for the experience. I mean, we just did it all, and I loved it. But hopefully I'm going to go to Disneyland this year, because my wife's from California, so she just loves Disneyland. She grew up down the street. They would buy season passes, and they literally would get off of school and just go every day. You know,
well, I go every year to Disneyland, so I go every year to
Disneyland. So are you like Disneyland or Disney World? Like, which one's your?
It depends on what you're talking about, right? So, like, if I'm going to go for a week, I'm going to go for a week, Disney World for sure, right? Because I can stay at a good resort, and there is something to be said about the customer care between the two parks, right? Like, I think that Disneyland is really great, and it's cool to be there during the, you know, like, immersed in the originality. And there actually is something to be said if I'm just going to visit one park. Disneyland Park is actually really good, right? Because they have like all the Disneyland stuff, plus they have Galaxy's Edge, right? Like, so they have all the Star Wars stuff too. Where, like, as Disney World, I have to go to different parks to get to all of this different stuff, right? And, you know, west of the Mississippi, they're allowed to have Avengers, and you can't have Avengers in Florida because of Universal, and Universal will never give up that right.
No.
So, and it sucks because, like, I want an Iron Man ride, right? Like, I want like Avengers, like, why they're good, but they'll never give it up. But anyways, no. So, like, it depends on what it is. But, you know, weirdly enough, like, what is your favorite ride? Like, what's the favorite ride that you went on?
Okay. I have two.
Just
and
one.
It's weird. Oh, come on, son of a. I feel like I didn't do them all because we didn't go to all the parks. So I want to make that as a qualifier here. I do think my favorite one was Guardians. It was just,
Good ride.
it was a freaking blast. Like, I couldn't get enough of it.
It's a good ride. My absolute favorite, this is kind of funny. My absolute favorite, and I think it's just because of 100% pure nostalgia, but my favorite ride of all time at any Disney park is It's a Small World.
Really?
And I'm an adrenaline junkie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like the Guardians ride was like, as far as like roller coasters there,
Yeah.
my favorite roller coaster, hands down, besides maybe Tower of Terror. I like Tower of Terror a lot too. But 100% Small World.
It's funny because the one that I was fighting with was the Pirates of the Caribbean one, because it has that old school nostalgic feel with the old animatronics and everything. And I was like, I was so captivated by all of it. And I just thought it was so cool. And then also my wife telling me the history of how many things they've changed in the, like, during that.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy. I bet you JC probably knows this. Like, this is something you definitely wouldn't know, but I think JC would probably know this. Is that like they put, they did the fire effect and the smell so well in Pirates of the Caribbean that they literally rolled fire trucks to it because they thought it was burning down. Right? Then funny thing is, as the fire trucks were pulling away, they actually had a real fire.
That's crazy.
Right? Hilarious. And
so
lady that was in charge, this is so cool because like when you do behind the scenes, you like learn this stuff. The lady that was in charge of doing the animatronics was only supposed to do one costume per animatronic, right? Like that's what they had budgeted for. And she told them like, hey, I can make 5 in the same amount of time that I can make 1, which doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever. But they told her just to make 1, and she made 3 for each one. And that was the only reason why opening day at Disneyland for Pirates of the Caribbean, that they were able to get the ride back up and running in 30 minutes, was because she broke protocol, went against everything that everyone said, and made extra outfits. So like, you know, cute little fun.
That's cool. So have you done like, so you've done the like behind the scenes tour of like Disney World and stuff?
For sure. And it takes away the magic. Like I wouldn't take my kids or my wife ever. Like, you know, we're techies, right? Like we're all kind of techie people. So I want, like, to me, it's more magical for me to see that each one of these have its own tape and they have their own sound coming from each one of these audio animatronics, right? But to other people, like riding Space Mountain with the lights on is either terrifying or it just ruins the magic, right? Like same with like Pirates. Yeah.
You're right. I'm like 100% on board where like that would add to the magic for me.
Yep.
Because it's just because I've done the VIP behind the scenes tour at Universal, and that was like my favorite thing, was like learning about all these. I was like, oh my gosh, like here's all these tubes and like here's how the pressure works, and like it was so, I'd love that kind of stuff. So now I have to look into that because that'll be a
well, you know. I have a bucket list behind the scenes. And so like in Epcot, when you were in Epcot, they have the Living Seas Pavilion, right? Like, which is like the aquarium where they have the manatees and stuff like that. You can dive that.
Really?
Yeah. You have to be PADI certified, right? So like, you know, I'm dive certified. So like, I want to go dive it, but unfortunately, and we'll talk about this later at some point, but you know, I'm gonna drop a bomb on you that only our sound engineer knows, is that, next year I will not be going to Disney or probably a theme park, which is going to be weird because it'll be the first time in a long time. But I am actually going to go to Egypt.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to dive in Egypt,
bro. You've never known this. We've never talked about this. That's my dream, is to go to Egypt. The Egyptian culture is, I love it. I love it so much, and so that I am just green with jealous rage right now, because that is, oh man, I want to do that so bad. Like it's
crazy too, because like we'll be on like all the way down the South Sinai Peninsula, and like I was really worried about like security and stuff like that, and it really like come to find out like it's way more secure, even though it's like close to, you know, whatever's going on up the north. Like that's not kind of our podcast, but whatever's going on in the north there. You know, it's like really safe. And so like, we're going to get to see the Cairo Museum. We're going to get to see Luxor. We're going to get to see Valley of the Kings. And the crazy thing is the guy that we're going to be staying with is my wife's house inspector. And his brother was a curator for one of the like offset museums from the Cairo Museum. And unfortunately he passed, right? Like it sucks that he passed, but at the same time, he willed his home and everything like that. So like we're staying in like a real house with a pool, and like it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be nuts. So it'll be really cool.
Oof, am I jealous?
So let's talk about vacations though. So you were at the same time I was at Disney. You were at what is it, the Murph or something like that?
Yeah, Murph. Yeah, the Midwest Rep Rap Festival, which it was like half vacation, half work, kind of. It wasn't work for like what I do for my 9 to 5. It was so real quick, Midwest Rep Rap. You know the Rep Rap, like there was the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap, right? And
I'm
so
sure
for
that
anybody
people listening don't know what
for
that
anybody
is.
who's listening who doesn't know, essentially the easiest way to describe it is the Rep Rap Festival is a gathering of 3D printers, both on the hobbyist side, but also on the technical side. It'll be where people can showcase machines they've built. It can be where companies showcase like accessories that they're making for 3D printers. Like there's a company called Micro Swiss, which makes a nozzle for 3D printers. They're all there. And I was actually there with, it's funny, I'm actually wearing this shirt and that was not planned at all. I was with the company New Makers, which is a filament company for 3D printers. And I was helping like run their booth while I was also exploring everything, because I wasn't able to go to Rocky Mountain Rep because I had a friend pass away right before that started. So I had to go take care of that with the funeral stuff. So anyways, this was in Goshen, Indiana, which I don't know if you've ever been to Indiana in general, but Goshen, Indiana is more nothing. There's just nothing. There's nothing there.
Hoosier State, right? The Hoosier State.
Yeah, the Hoosier State. It was really weird. It was like in this like barn pavilion thing, and when I found out later that it's like this is where they show horses for like auction and like shows, was like where we were inside of this place. It was hot, but it was so much fun. Because I've only been doing 3D printing a little over a year now. I'm super new to the hobby, super new to the everything, and I love all the technical stuff. I love learning all the new stuff, and so it was really cool to go there and meet all these people with this technical stuff, but also the hobbyists were some of the coolest things. There was this kid I met, and I can't remember his name to save my life right now, but he had built a full-sized floating city for Dungeons and Dragons. It was 7 levels, and if it was sitting on the ground, it would be about 4.5 feet tall, and it was like a circle, and I think it was like 2.5 feet across. So just like that whole thing, and it was huge, and it had all these levels, and I really appreciated going, because right before I had left, I was getting really stuck with 3D printing. I had like lost the passion behind it, like I was just doing stuff to make content, or I was doing stuff because I run an Etsy store, all this jazz, and I like lost the fire. But like something happened, and I just like realized that like I had a lot of fun. I got to meet some of our mutual friends over on TikTok. Like I got to meet Akuma. I got to meet Bearded Viking. I got to meet I finally met your boy, Priority 3D. Dude, I was he wanted to come to Murph, but he came, like he was like texting me the whole time. He's like, dude, I want to see you. I can't wait to see you. And it was just like, it's funny because I was a fan of him before we became friends. And so even then I was still kind of like fangirling a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to come see me, and he was just getting done a droid con. So he showed me his droid in his car and everything. It was just so cool. And honestly, being around him and being around some other people, I was like, oh, I need to not make this a job anymore, and I need to have fun with it. And even though I'm still doing it as a job, right, I'm getting ready to do a market show for the farmers market this weekend. So I'm running the printers like crazy. I'm sorry if anybody can hear them in the background and, and all that jazz. But, even though I'm doing that now as like a job, what's great is it's become passion again. And that's something that I love. And then also with you, even, I mean, you've been doing you've been doing more helmets and stuff like that, and been doing giveaways. And that was like, I've told this story over on other platforms before, but the whole reason I started 3D printing was I wanted to make Mandalorian armor. That was the only reason I ever wanted to do this. And I like made one helmet, and it kind of didn't work and whatever. And I was just, I don't know, I really got upset by it, and I kind of gave up. and I got lost. And Murph was a really cool way for me to come back to the reality of like, dude, you can have fun and do this as a job. Like you can do both. So,
well, there's another one coming up, right? Like Sound Guy. What's the name of it again? It's like some funky name, right?
Yeah, it's Earth, but yeah, I don't know why they're doing 3D Printopia.
They named it after like a EDC thing.
Yeah. Well, they're trying. When I was talking to the coordinators, so what's interesting is everybody who coordinates like Earth and Rocky Mountain and Murph, they're all coordinated by different people, and I guess the Murph people are kind of getting upset at Earth because Earth wants to take over and have it just be the only one. Like they want to phase out Murph, but Murph wants to stay put. So it's kind of weird that they're not all cohesively together. And I'm sure there's more to it than that. It was just the brief thing I got, from there.
I liked your videos, and Mike is my boy, dude. Like I love Mike at Priority. Like he's like, he makes me aspire to do bigger projects when it comes to 3D printing. And then I realized like about, I don't know, I would say about 25-30% into printing all the parts that I don't have the attention span like Mike does or the skill level. So I usually have like a lot of unfinished projects laying around. And like weirdly enough, like take for example your helmet challenge. I felt so bad about that, but like I have never dropped a project more in my life than I had dropped that helmet. Right. Dude, and the worst part about it is like there's this like outpouring of people that are like, oh my God, it looks so good. And I'm like, what are you looking at? I'm like, this, like, here's the thing. Like, I appreciate that you guys are trying to make me feel better, but what are you looking at? Because that helmet is absolute trash. Like, it looks like it just slapped paint on it and kicked it out the door. Right. And people are like, oh no, it looks good. And I'm like, you know what? This is the advantage of having the Osmo Pocket 3, right? Because it makes everything look good at this point. Because like, good grief.
Don't get me started on the Pocket 3 right now. I just told you about that story. We'll talk about that later, but I'm so angry right now. Well, especially because it was just actually, I'll tell you, I don't know why I'm beating around the bush. So I bought one too, and I was telling you, and I'll tell everybody else. So I bought it, came through Amazon. I get the package. It looks super beat up on the outside. And that's happened before, like whatever, I've been fine. But then I open it and the actual box and everything came in was like, it looked like somehow it got folded in half, and I didn't want to mess with it. And I contacted Amazon. I said, hey, like, I need a replacement. Like, I haven't even opened this thing yet, but like, here's the box. And they're like, cool. The issue is we won't, since it's a high dollar item, we won't send you a replacement until we receive the old one. And I was like, cool. So I sent it to them. And of course, Amazon's great until you need something from them. Because like, no joke, I sent it. They give you their little tracking thing. I see that they had it and it sat in processing, I think, for almost a week and a half. And
why did you just buy another one? Why did you just buy another one and just return it for a refund?
I know I could have, and I just didn't. I think it's just because like we just put a lot of money into the business and a lot of other stuff, and it was just like I could have done it, but it just was nerve-wracking to spend more money at the time. But it's on its way now, so hopefully I think it should be here by Friday or Saturday. I can't remember which day.
Oh my God, this is going to be a topic for another podcast, but please, for God's sakes, tell me you don't use a debit card.
No.
Oh God. Oh, okay.
No. It's funny that it's funny you just saying that has made me realize that we're on the same page about some things like that. So,
okay,
but anyways,
they're not allowed in my house, by the way, and we'll talk about this at some other day. But
that'll be really fun. That'll be a good. We
don't even know where mine is.
Just go for it. That's interesting. I do know where mine is, but that's because I have a fun wallet that like flings out my cards. But anyways, dude, so we were talking about Acolyte, and I'm just curious, like, so are you still catching up? Like, what are you doing, or like what's on your watch list for this week? Like, what are you trying to focus on? You know, because I feel like you and I are the same, where we have shows that we like kind of stack, where it's like, I need to get through this show or get through that show, or here's what's on my list.
Yeah, so I have three categories here, right? So like these, like, if, going forward, these are my 3 categories. I have my mindless watch, right? That I just like put on, right? No matter what I'm doing. So I can just like see a little bit of it. And maybe I missed something in the last time I watched through it. I have my have to watch, and then I have my enjoy to watch, right?
Okay.
So if I have a second, I'll start with my mindless watch. My mindless watch right now is weirdly Deadliest Catch and Game of Thrones. Right? I know Game of Thrones sounds like a weird mindless watch, right? But I've watched it and like I was so immersed into it in the books and everything else like that basically now I just have it going on in the background and I'll catch something that I haven't seen before.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, cool. Like, had no idea about that. And then Deadliest Catch, I mean, like, you can only watch somebody catch crabs that many times unless like you're in inner city Detroit. I mean, like, you just see a lot of more people catching crabs there, right? But like, or like at a gross strip club. But the one where like everything's moist and it smells like cold cuts. So
it's a 4D experience when you're watching Deadliest Catch.
So bad, right?
That's amazing.
And then so we can move into like my just have to watch it, and that's Acolyte. But actually, I'm enjoying it more and more, and I'm glad I kind of forced myself to go into it. Now, like I will say, Acolyte, where I'm at right now, I don't think it's this like canon breaker that everybody thinks it is, and like I don't think it's like this like. I think they've done a really good job of like bringing it back, right? Like kind of bringing it back to be a little bit more tame and more stable. But do I want to see a season 2? No. Just like I don't want to see a season 2 of Boba Fett, right? Like I'm done. Boba Fett, like it was great when it was Mando 2.5. It was not good when it was Boba Fett. And then my enjoying watching right now is Hot D. Hot D is like my House of the Dragon is like my show. And if you're not caught up, that last episode, whoo boy. Okay, so like they have taken some liberties, right? So if you've read the books,
I just heard that. Yeah.
And like the what happens, I don't want to, no spoilers for anybody. Yeah. So, keep listening. Don't cut off right now. The fight didn't go the way it went, and the character that is in the show that's no longer in the show doesn't go the same way. And so anyways, and it kind of doesn't make sense, but then it does make sense. Like that's the weird thing, and we'll talk about it later. But anyways, okay, so like what's on your watch list? Besides
so I actually really
going
like
back and watching Star Wars episode 1 through 3 to find out that Mace was a bad guy.
I love that. So I actually like your list. So my mindless watch, I'm going to take a technicality with the second one. So my mindless watch is always Bob's Burgers. I will have that on in the background. And it's funny because it's weird to say for some people that that's the show I like hearing something new in, because there's just a new joke that I heard, or there's a new way they've laid something up. And I just freaking love that show. I just love listening to it. It makes me laugh all the time. In a weird way though, I'm on like a YouTube series, cause like this guy that I'm watching right now, he makes like 30-40 minute videos. I don't know if you've ever seen Outdoor Boys. But he's like an Alaskan guy. He like camps and stuff. I know it's right up your alley because you love camping so much.
I wouldn't even watch it.
But yeah. So I watch his videos a lot. I really like watching it because he does a lot of like survival camping, and I just really enjoy it. What were the categories? It was mindless watch.
Mindless watch. You're forced to watch it, like have to watch it. And then you enjoy watching it.
My forced to watch right now is Shogun. I've never watched Shogun. I have a guy that I donate plasma because, it's $500 a month. Why not? And my phlebotomist that is usually with me, he's a big Shogun fan. He's just been trying to get me to watch it. And so finally I broke down and I'm starting to watch that. And have you seen Shogun on Hulu?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, I don't know why nobody forced me to watch this earlier. So I'm super into it. I super into it. And then the last one, man, it might be House of the Dragons also right now. That might be the one that I'm on.
Hot D is so good.
It's so good. It's just like the first season was just amazing. Like I remember it ended and I like looked at my homie and I was like, do you want to start this over like right now? And he's like, yes. And so
Can we agree though that it's not as good as Game of Thrones though? Like it's not Game of Thrones level. It's like it's good, but it's not Game of Thrones good.
I think here's what I'll say. And it's funny, you and I were talking really briefly about this, and we'll probably have to do this on another episode. I have a weird list of things that I compare to where it's like, okay, this can be better than something. The best of something can be better than the other best of something, but as a whole, it's better. I think Game of Thrones as a whole is better, but I think the best episode so far that I've seen of House of the Dragons might be better than the best episode of Game of Thrones that I've seen.
What?
As a whole,
what?
Game of Thrones is 100 times better.
Oh my God. Okay, so you know what? Today is the day of disappointment with you.
It's not disappointing. Hold on.
No, like, okay, so hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. There has not been an episode better than The Red Wedding, which is Reigns of Castamere, or Battle of the Bastards. There is absolutely no way that you could say a Hot D episode is better than the Battle of the Bastards or Reigns of Castamere. There's no way. Like
then
that was
I
like
won't.
the most. That was like the right because that was like no. I'm saying that was like the sixth sense of TV shows. Like nobody was expecting that unless you read the books.
Right, and I agree with that 100%. I'm coming at it from 3 angles, maybe 5. I don't know how many.
Dude, this is too many damn angles. Is
too
what
many
that
angles.
sounds like.
Too many angles. I really absorb media. I think very differently than a lot of people. I look at it from like a cinematic. I look at it from a script standpoint. I look at it from an acting standpoint, and I feel like it that's where it's winning. Not necessarily in like plot points or reveals or anything like that. It's like as a whole. But I will say, content wise, just pure content, you're right. You're 100% right. Those 2 episodes stand above. They're content wise, those 2 episodes might be better than than any show I've ever seen. Like,
wait,
period.
no, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm rethinking what I said too. You know what? This is a hot take for Game of Thrones. And matter of fact, now I'm gonna have to go watch it. Is weirdly the best episode of Game of Thrones for cinematic, for storytelling, for everything across the board. Ready? Hard Home. When Jon betrays the Watch and goes to the Wildlings to save them, and we see the giant battling and walking through the water, and like he has to leave all those people dying to the Night King, and the Night King has that like fuck you look on his face, like I'm gonna get you, bitch, later, right? You know what I'm talking about,
dude? I do. Okay, instinctively, like just after you saying it, I think you're right. I want to go watch it again.
Yep.
But you're right. That triggered something. That's like, when you smell something and it triggers memories for some reason. That's what you did to me just now. You said that and I went, oh no. And I think you might be right. That might be peak like TV show, like period.
Yeah. I think that's like alpha form. Like
that should be what like probably best TV shows aspire to be. Is that episode. I think you might be. I'm going to watch. Honestly, that's going to go on my list for this week to watch just that episode again, just to make sure that's the thing. Cause I really love that. Like a lot.
I mean, that is like the Three's Company of new TV shows.
No, 100%. Yeah. Such a weird reference, but it's true.
It was like every guy's dream, bro. Come on.
Oh
now,
yeah.
seriously.
100%. Oh
Jeez.
yeah, absolutely.
Like,
that's why everyone
watched
it.
Yeah. You're like, and for our younger viewers, Three's Company was about a show where a guy lived with 2 girls and they were both smoking hot. Like just absolutely smoking hot. And he was kind of a dweeb. And like, anyways, yeah. So like absolute best show, like best show content was like a dude trying to figure out how to live in that. But anyways, hey, so I got to catch up on Hot D, right? Like not catch up, right? Like I have to watch it with my wife because like I kind of spouse cheated on this. So I have to like, thank God the podcast is going to come out afterwards and she can't hear me because I'm like in the studio because I cheated on my wife on this. And so what would happen is then like I would get locked out of HBO for the next like 3 weeks, and she would just watch them without me. And then I wouldn't be able to talk about anything. So with that being said, I do have to go get caught up with that. So dinner and stuff like that. So, so I wanted to let you guys know, if you guys like what you guys hear me and Benski talking back and forth, you can actually find me on TikTok under Brady Meets World. As soon as you start type, I believe, I don't Google myself, but I believe as soon as you start typing in Brady in TikTok, you get Tom Brady and then me. So like, you know, if you just do Brady Meets World, you'll find me on TikTok, and then you'll find my poor excuse of an Instagram and YouTube, which I got to listen to the two guys that are actually on this podcast about actually upping my game in those. So, but all under Brady Meets World.
Great. So. Yeah. And then, yeah, if you guys want to see more of my content in TikTok, I am basically Benski. I don't know. I also don't Google myself. So I think if you type in Benski, though, you should find it. There's a couple other things that are Benski on there, but you should be able to find basically Benski. And in there, I have other links to my social. I also have, a YouTube. Instagram also needs to get better. I definitely want to get that's why I'm getting that Osmo Pocket 3 for that YouTube, because I need to get better on that content. So, but yeah, we just appreciate you guys hanging out with us, listen to us just kind of gab about, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys will be able to get this wherever well, obviously you found it. So, and if you guys want to see the video, it'll be up on YouTube. Anyways, but for everybody listening, thank you guys for hanging out with us, where the conversation absolutely never ends.
And don't ever forget to keep questioning everything, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you for joining us for Basically Us. We are glad you enjoyed the show and hope to see you next time when Brady says,
I don't know this guy. I don't know who this guy you hired, Benski.
See you next time.